What's up guys, thanks for joining me. Today I'm doing a nice short sweet tutorial on Davinci Resolve. I'm going to be going over how I do the color grading that I do to my talking head portions in my videos, and let's just get right into it. So obviously you're going to be in the color tab in Davinci Resolve. What you're going to want to do first is add some correctors. I'm going to add 3 of them. One here, and then that one is going to be a bypass. So we're going to do a layer mixer right there. Come up here with the green, up to there with the green, and then that dotted line right there. Super important that. This we're going to label exposure. This we're going to label skin tones. And then this up here is going to be our color or look, whatever you want to call it. So first in our exposure tab, we're gonna do our white balance, so that's fine. It doesn't need to be perfect for this. This is the big part of my color grade. So I'm gonna come over here, put a little soft clipping on the highs, pull everything up a little bit. It's kind of dark. It's a pretty dark image, so 27.25 isn't bad. Bring the blacks back down. Shadows rather. Oh, I forgot a node at the end here. This is going to be sharpening. So our exposure doesn't have to be perfect for this. I'm more worried about the skin tones, but normally it looks something like that. You don't always have to mess with this contrast tool here. Like, you can get a lot of contrast out of the curves here. Next is going to be our skin tones. We want to go to our dropper tool right here, hit that little magic wand up to the top left, and what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be trying to select only my skin tones. And you can just like click in the midtones and start messing around down here, but what I like to do is just get too much selected and then try to subtract. That's just an easier workflow for me. Bring these soft up. Bring this forward a little bit, start losing those shadows in the background that we don't want in there. And it doesn't need to be perfect. Bring your denoise, your clean blacks, your clean whites up a little bit. It doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be close. I mean, obviously I could have done a better job with the selection here, but it's just a ballpark. We're just doing a tutorial. This isn't like, you know, paid gig or anything. Another thing you can do is if you're having trouble getting your skin tone selected, or there's like something in the background that's really close to the same color as your skin tones and you can't really get it to sit right, you can use a power window. And whatever's in here, if you have this track your face around, it'll only apply the grade to that as opposed to it being everywhere in the image. So where was I? Okay, so now that we got that selection going, I'm gonna bring the shadows up towards the red a little bit. We don't wanna go too crazy. Less is more in this case. Also, you're gonna wanna go over to your vector scope and make sure that this is lined up to your skin tones line up here. If you don't have a skin tones line, you just go in the indicator here, down here, in the options. If your skin tones are real out of whack, it'll look something like that where it's not over the line. But in my case, it was pretty close, especially after that shadow adjustment. For the midtones, we can pull this over just a little bit towards the like golden color, and then the highlights, I always just pull them down towards the blue, just a tidbit. Okay, so what that is doing is those skin tones there have that grade applied to them, where you can see the difference between that and that. Just gives a little bit of glow and warmth to the shadows. But what this is doing here is bypassing the color or look up here, so that when we come up here and do our color grade, it's not gonna overlap with what we just did to our skin tones. So for the color or look, what I like to do is take my reds down a little bit, not too crazy. I mean, I've seen some people go like wild with this and get like a real crazy teal look to it. Another thing I do to my background is just desaturate it a little bit. Just get some of the color out of that so that I pop off the background a little bit more. So this is the big part, the red curve here, just pulling this down in the shadows. The greens you can maybe bring up a little bit and then back down to normal towards the mid-tone. And then the blue, I've seen people pull this up, get that real like teal and orange look going, but I don't really like that. I normally just keep the blue flat there and get more of like a grayish green background, which I like more than the teal and orange look, in my opinion. I like more in my opinion. That made a lot of sense. And then last we have our sharpening tab. I didn't know about this for a long time using Davinci Resolve, and what you'll notice is that I wouldn't go further than like 0.43 or 0.42 on this radius one. It starts looking a little funky if you do. And then from there, I mean, I don't want to see every pore that I have, so I guess I'm just gonna leave it there. Whoa, that's a little too sharp. Before, after. But anyway, that's been my tutorial on how I do the color grading on my talking head portions. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!